The session's about turning meetings into experiences. Now, why should we do so? Why should we bother turning meetings into experiences? Well, first and foremost, our lives are so busy. We spend a third of our waking lives working, and anything between 25 and 50% of that in meetings. And we'll sense that check. We'll sense check that in a moment as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to explore why we should do it. We're going to allow you, the audience, to choose your own adventure. We're going to practice turning a meeting into an experience, and then we're going to reflect on what we've learned. A little bit about me, though. So my name's Chris Stone, otherwise known as the Virtual Agile Coach. I've been a Miro user. Oh, let me try and reload the board. Alas, it's misbehaving. Let me try once more. Clicking the embed button. Any luck this time round? We've got some people on. Some people have just opened. Boom. There we go. Progress. Okay, so it should load eventually, folks. Apologies for the slowness. A little bit about me then. So Chris Stone, otherwise known as the Virtual Agile Coach. I've been a Miro user since the days of real-time boards, and it's become my default tool for collaboration, and in fact, visualization. In fact, anything is my starting point for anything I work on these days. My day-to-day role is enterprise agile coaching, so helping companies transition to agility and benefit from agile ways of working. I'm very much an outcomes-focused person, so I don't go into a company thinking, hey, what framework can I apply, or what solution have I got for you? It's always, what are you trying to solve? What problem are you trying to solve? What outcome are you seeking? Secondly, are your ways of working helping you achieve those outcomes or solve those problems? And thirdly, are you continuously improving your ways of working? And that continuous improvement is built into everything I do, including the meetings that I facilitate. Now, that's a little bit about me. Involved in agility for over 10 years now, and a big believer in enjoying the workplace. The work should be fun. With a little bit of creativity and energy, you can enable work to be fun. So what I'd like you to do first and foremost, to bring everyone to me on the board now, is you'll see little Chris, little cartoon Chris here. What I'd like you to do is answer this first question on this duality or this scale here. So you have the ability to grab these little icons. If you're not a familiar Miro user, make sure your blue cursor on the left-hand side of your screen is highlighted. Press V on your keyboard to do so. Just drag one of these cursors onto this scale to share how much of your week you spend in meetings, from 0% to 100%. So you should be able to grab those icons, those little timers, and place them on the scale accordingly to share from your perspective how much of your week you spend in meetings. Some people don't have audio. The board isn't loading. Red balloon, lower left-hand corner. Yeah, you might have me muted. Other people can hear me. Let me reload the board once more. We are having some issues, some tech issues. If not, the link is in the chat, folks. You can follow along there. Zah. There we go. So where we should be, there's 193 people on the board now. You should be here. Grabbing one of these little icons will allow you to place it on the scale to share what your experiences are with regards to meetings. How much of your week do you spend in those meetings? If the collaborator cursors, by the way, are in your way, you can turn them off by pressing this button at the top of your screen here. What have we got then? So far, middling. Fortunately, no unlucky person has hit 100% yet. Someone's decided to be a rebel and grab one of the post-it notes, which is for the next question, but that's okay. You do you. Interesting point, Rachel. Yeah, workshops, are they meetings? All right, so in general, what we're learning here is that a lot of people spend anything between 25 and 75% of their time in meetings. Let's do the next question then. So bringing your attention to here on the board now, are your meetings in general, are they boring on the left-hand side of the scale, or you love them as if you're riding a unicycle? If anyone can do that, tell me now. But drag those little post-it notes onto that scale. What are meetings for you? Are they boring on the left-hand side of the scale, or do you love them on the right-hand side of the scale? Yeah, we do seem to be having a few tech issues today, folks, it seems, alas. Perhaps I should shall I try and just share my screen? How about that? The Miro link, folks, is in the chat. We'll do it this way. You follow that way, and then for those of you that can't access the board for whatever reason, you should be able to see what others are doing. So what we're doing now is grabbing these little post-it guys and dragging them onto the scale. On the left-hand side of the screen, are your meetings boring or do you love them? I can see cursors everywhere, but no movement of these post-its yet. Perhaps you can contribute in the chat instead. Are they boring? Funny? Let me reload my screen. Alas, it seems to be slow on my side as well. Well, this is going wonderfully. Mostly boring. Okay, so talk to me through the chat. Mostly boring. Now people are seeing activity. It's really mostly boring. Okay. Anyone really enjoy meetings? No. Sometimes if they're productive. Work sessions. Okay. Different way of phrasing it. Okay. New scale now. You should see on the board to the right of where we've just done this. Another question. Are your meetings value? Yeah. Are you getting value from them or are they valueless is the scale essentially? Share your thoughts. Often no value. As long as it's got clear structure and objectives, most have value. Interesting. Let's try this again. It's really not enjoying the tech today. Some value. Hate to think of them as valueless, but it's true. Some have less value than others. %65 value. So again, we've got a mixture of perspectives here. Some are finding they're valuable, some less so. A waste of time is on the left-hand side. So what I'd like you to do now is just share in one word, describe what meetings are for you. If you could describe a meeting in one word, what is it from your perspective? Share your thoughts in this chat. And if you can access the Miro board, then there's post-it notes that you can add your thoughts to, just to the right. And you should be here. I can see some 235 people here now. There we go. Inefficient, uninspiring, time-consuming, energy drainers, interactive, and necessary evil. Okay, some interesting perspectives there, but also necessary. Now, think of the best meeting you were ever involved in and what made it so. What was the attributes that made it a great meeting? Share your thoughts here. Again, do so in the chat if you can, or if you can access the Miro board, go for it. Snacks, productive, full of energy, a clear agenda, open dialogue. We all know why we're here. Wouldn't we love that? Collaborative in a lean coffee style. You came away feeling inspired. Wonderful. Okay, now, so what we've observed very quickly there is that we've got a lot of different perspectives and experiences with meetings. On average, a lot of us spend a good chunk of our time in meetings. Many of us find them mostly on the boring side. Some people like them, and there's not always a consistent value in those meetings. And we've got some perspectives as to what makes them great. Now, anchoring back to why make meetings into experiences? Why turn them into them? I mentioned earlier, we do spend essentially a third of our waking lives working, so we should at least try. We owe it to ourselves to enjoy the experience. Now, there's research as well saying that happier employees are up to 37% more productive. This is research from Google alongside Warwick University, a study on happiness and productivity. So not only does putting a bit of effort in result in more enjoyable experiences, but it means that staff and people are happier, and that's what it should be all about. Now, what I'd like to do is share with you some stories. You should see on the board here my picture of Queen the rock band. This was a retrospective I created. Now, once upon a time, when I was a Scrum Master, I was tasked with facilitating retrospectives. And I remember at the time them being very boring, shall we say. There weren't that many formats out there. Again, what I'll do is I'll just share my screen instead. Let's just go with that, because Miro is misbehaving. So here we are. Can we see now? Yes. Okay. So Queen, you can see a great picture of Freddie Mercury there. Now, as I said, once upon a time, Scrum Master I was. Retros in general were rather repetitive, stale, frustrating. It was all stop, start, continue, and sad, mad, glad. And sad, mad, glad makes me, as a format, sad, mad, and not at all glad. Now, I was thinking, right, there's got to be a better way of doing this. There's got to be a better way of doing this. So I remember searching and looking out for alternatives. And I came across the Elvis retrospective on what was my favorite resource at the time, tastycupcakes.org. And on Tasty Cupcakes, there was the Elvis retrospective, and it used the Elvis discography to promote and generate insights as a team. So it was, don't step on my blue suede shoes, what should we be saying no to? And it was using the Elvis songs. I thought, well, that's the king of retrospectives. I should create the Queen. So rather than saying to a team, hey, what should we continue doing? You should be saying, hey, don't stop me now. I'm playing the Queen songs in the background. And as people are writing their thoughts down, it creates a bit of atmosphere and a bit of energy. You know, what's putting us under pressure as a team? And you can play the Bowie version of the song, or another one, Bite the Dust. What did we complete in the last iteration? What stories what value did we deliver? Or one vision, what's our vision for the next iteration? What's our goal going forwards? Or we are the champions. What successes should we celebrate? So that was the starting point for me, creating thematic meetings and turning meetings into experiences. I created the Queen retrospective, and that was the journey of 100 templates. I'm now at the point where I've created and shared 100 retrospective templates, freely accessible all via my website. And they're all linked thematic, using various different methods to generate insights and get a bit of creativity. So people end up looking forward to the next retro rather than dreading just another meeting that doesn't add value. Now, here's another example. Again, bringing everyone to my screen here. This was a town hall that I facilitated. And this is just part of the Miro board that I created. It was an Alps, a snow day themed town hall. So hundreds of people were on this Miro board. We had a base camp, we had a piece map so people could navigate their way around. And I turned up to this meeting dressed in full skiing gear with a helmet and visor. And I chose the worst day to do it because it was April. So just at the end of the skiing season. And I was melting like a snowman. But it was one of the more engaging town halls that we'd ever had at this company. And people really enjoyed the experiences. And they looked forward to the next one. They were wondering what theme was going to come next. And you can build in all sorts of interactivity into the theme. So I had people grabbing a little skier and skiing them down a slalom to then rate at the bottom how they were feeling, just as a way as a temperature checking how people's mood and energy levels were. So you can turn not just retros into experiences, but town halls and other meetings. Now, what I'd like to highlight to you folks is that it's not all roses. Every now and then you will have some people that aren't as into fun styles, and they will want to focus on work just being work. But the 99% of feedback I've ever received has always been so positive. People appreciate the effort. I've created Star Wars themed ones, Home Alone themed ones, Diwali to celebrate other cultures, because many meeting styles and templates out there are often very westernized. And by creating the Diwali themed one, it had quieter voices coming out of their shells more than it ever had, taking them away from this normal retro mode and into a more engaging, energized mode. So there's James Bond, there's all sorts. I could bring your attention very quickly to just a few of them down here. There are musical retros, so Queen, Daft Punk, Prodigy, and Journey. There are movies, so horror movies, Nightmare Before Christmas. There is Shrek, the retrospective, or Star Wars. There is TV shows, so Friends, Squid Games, Simpsons, and Game of Thrones. You could be playing Game of Thrones music during and creating the atmosphere, because who doesn't like to go during a meeting? Because I certainly do. There's cat memes and dog memes. There's video games. There's Dungeons and Dragons, Mario Kart. There are so many options at your disposal to turn a meeting into something a bit more energizing and exciting that celebrates the microculture of your team. So every team, every team I've ever been part of is a microculture that has its own energy, passions, likes and dislikes. And you can leverage those microcultures and create experiences that work for them. Now, what I'd also like to draw your attention to is the Miroverse. So myself and many other great creators out there are building these thematic templates and making them available to everyone to access and use free of charge. The beauty of the things like Miroverse is that these days, with a few clicks of a button, you can plug and play, use a template in seconds. Whereas in the past, I used to have to find a tastycupcakes.org visual and then go to my meeting room probably half hour before time to draw pretty pictures on a board. And then it would be time consuming. Whereas nowadays it's freely accessible and instantaneously you can be taken into a bit of an experience. So try the Miroverse, access the templates available. And then if you do create anything yourself, share it with the world. Let them benefit from your creations. Now, let's do a bit of practice, shall we? What I'd like you to do, and this is going to be difficult because I need people to use the Miro board for this. What I'd like you to do is help me to choose a meeting from these three options that you would like to practice turning into an experience. We have the retrospective, the daily sync. And when I say daily sync, I mean the daily stand-up or the daily scrum or whatever you choose to call it, and the sprint review. I can see the votes are coming in thick and fast. And in general, it looks like the daily sync is going to take the win. There are no points, by the way, for making your post-its larger. It's just number of votes that get it. And what we're going to do is we're then going to practice turning a daily sync, a daily stand-up into something experiential rather than just being a meeting that everyone hates or doesn't enjoy. So the daily sync is the clear winner. In fact, we've run out of post-it notes, so we win. Now, what I'd like you to do next is share what you're passionate about. What we're going to do is we're going to get a perspective as to what people want to turn this daily sync into. What are you passionate about? And we can use that to celebrate this audience's microculture and turn a daily sync into something a bit more interesting. Chuck your ideas in. I can see food. Someone's really passionate about bread. That person is after my own heart. Just having a quick look at the comments to make sure I'm on top of things. Yeah, do have a retro with me. It's great fun. Add more post-it notes as you see fit. Look at that. Loads coming through. Heavy metal, cycling, dogs. Right. We're going to give it another 15 seconds for you to get your thoughts in. And then we're going to see how Miro voting functionality behaves given some of the challenges we have. Just take a moment to look around. Someone's put cycling multiple times. I think someone's really keen on cycling. Just take a look around at some of these ones here and see if any particularly resonate. The World Cup, I can see someone just put. The World Cup is very topical right now. Moments away, days away, in fact. All right. If I can ask you to pause adding new things. Pause adding new things. We need to do a vote now. So what I'm going to do is kick off a vote. Just on these post-its. Okay. Start your voting. Go for it. We're going to see which one wins. The one that wins is the one that we're going to create some themes around, some interesting ways of doing a daily sync. You have 2 minutes to get your votes in, folks. If you've already voted, feel free to browse around the board if you should wish to do so. Hopefully everyone's getting their votes in. What I'm going to do is, whilst you're voting, I'm going to talk to you about a technique I like to use that helps me understand the microculture of my team. And it's called the wall of us. So you get a place on your virtual whiteboard. I'll highlight where that is on the board in a moment. And you use icebreakers to learn about your team's passions, their interests. Just use one a day, one meeting a day, perhaps in your daily sync. And just ask and make time for human interaction, because after all, we are more than just avatars on a screen, names inside a circle. We are humans with passions, likes and dislikes, and we should leverage the passions that we have, and we can use them to make experiences for people. So ask an icebreaker once a day, break that ice, learn about the human behind the laptop and the machine, and then start to build up your wall of us. So you can use your wall of us to share some of the common themes you start to see, and you can start to see trends. You might learn that a team is hugely into video games or music or otherwise. I've used this technique, and I'll share a story with you. I was once working with a team in Mexico, and this team, they were very, very work focused. They had a lot of delivery deadlines, and they only ever spoke about work. Now, I joined this team to help them out, and one of the first things I introduced was icebreakers. And I remember very vividly, the question came up one day: what was your favorite childhood video game? And we learned through that simple question that two people on that same team who had been working together for years loved the same video game, and they arranged to play that game together that evening. We learned that other people in the team also enjoyed video games. And before we knew it, we had themed meetings. We had Zoom backgrounds that were from Halo and Legend of Zelda and otherwise. We had retros built around video games. We had team names that were it became a video game themed team name rather than just the generic one they had. So we learned quickly through using icebreakers what the passions of that team was, and we used that to our advantage. Now let's see how the vote has favored us. Results. What have we got? And if you could hear me, if you could hear my sound, you would hear a countdown timer right now. Food is the winner. All right. Food is the winner. That's what we're going to turn an experience into. So sharing my screen once more. We're here. This is the wall of us I was telling about. So it's just an example here. You've got music, trance classics and Linkin Park. You've got books. You've got you can share all sorts of things on here. But by building up a visual like this, you can then learn the passions that your team have. So we've chosen. The audience has chosen. Now let's practice. I'm going to bring your attention to here on the mirror board now. Can everyone see my screen? Is that working okay? Yes, perfect. Okay, so here's a little bit of inspiration. If you could hear my audio, I'm not sure if you can hear my audio, folks. Can you hear my audio? Yeah. All right. Did you hear the countdown timer a minute ago? I'm seeing yeses and nos. Okay, some of you fortunately have audio. Okay, Daniel Hogg, I see you. Right, so this is some inspiration for what we're going to do next. Here's some examples of how I've turned a meeting into something a bit more energizing with music and movie themes. So let's try a bit of this. The Eye of the Tiger. If this was a music theme, we could be saying Eye of the Tiger, rather than asking, what did I do yesterday, or what am I going to work on today? You could be asking your team or asking them of each other, where do we need to rise up to the challenge? Where could we compete if we showed the Eye of the Tiger? All right. We could be saying, hey, we're living on a prayer right now. Where are we living on a prayer? How could we pivot to improve our chances? We could be saying, Prodigy, breathe. Where am I breathing the pressure? Where do I need a bit of breathing space today? Because, hey, I can't get you out of my head. So what shouldn't we stop thinking about? What should be our biggest priority right now? Or last of all, one of my favorite, we are the champions. Where do we feel like champions, and what successes do I want to share today? Okay. So that's just an example of how you can do it musically. What about with movies? So let's embrace the musical themes. Mischief managed. What did we get done that others should be aware of? What did we do that contributed towards our team goal? Or I can see someone's moving some stuff around that shouldn't be. I realize this part isn't locked. Doesn't matter. We were saying, you can be my wingman anytime from Top Gun. Where do I need a wingman today? Where could I do with some help to get something finished? Or you've got a friend in me from Toy Story. I'm available to help someone today who needs some support. Or Hakuna Matata, it means no worries. What's concerning us we need to talk about? How can we move past it together? So we can use themes to make our meetings a little bit more exciting. So there's a few examples from music and movies. It's our turn now to use food to try and turn our daily meeting into something a bit more fun. So the theme is food, right? We are now here on the board. What I'd like you to do is share your thoughts. What could we be doing? What could we do that's food themes that might prompt a team to achieve the outcome of a daily stand-up or sync or scrum? Now, obviously, the intent of that meeting is transparency, maybe collaboration, repurposing or repivoting what we're doing to give us a better chance of success. So share your thoughts, food related. What could we ask each other? Food themes from a daily stand-up or daily sync perspective. I see lots of ideas coming through now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at some of these as they come about, and I'm going to try and turn them into some ones that we agree are good. On the right-hand side, it's a nice big one in a different color. Looking for about 3. 3 I find is a good number. Now, what I tend to recommend is that you pivot and you rotate the questions that a team has during a daily sync or daily stand-up, probably every month or so. So just refresh them once in a while, rather than just being, what did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? What blockers do I have? Using different language can result in very different insights. A very quick example of that is nobody likes to admit they've got a blocker. Having a blocker suggests I'm stuck with something. It maybe questions my integrity that I can't achieve it alone. Whereas if you switch that language ever so slightly and say, hey, where can I be helped today? Or what would move me forward? You tend to get very different responses. So the same can be true of the sorts of questions that we do. So let's have a look. What am I hungry for? How should we spice things up? Yeah, so yeah, interesting. Let's chew this over. What do we to chew over a bit more? What do we need to rethink? Easy one, okay. Recipe book. So what options do we have at our disposal to be successful in the future? What should we try next? What's your secret ingredient? Okay. What are you craving right now? Ooh. What am I craving right now? Steak. Sharing recipes, yeah? So what recipes do we need to share? Let's start that one. Ooh, I did not want to do that. What recipe should I share with my team? What might help us progress? What else have we got? Making a charcuterie board. Love those things. What's burning? Yeah. So what's not going well? What do we need to focus on? So you can see here, all I've done is I've taken a few food related themes. I'm aware it's making you hungry, folks. It's close to dinner time in the UK as well. It's very easy to turn a theme like food into different questions that celebrate the fact that, hey, we're all human and we love food, right? So I mean, just give this a go. Grab any of these questions and give this a go with your team and let me know how it goes. I'd love to see how it goes. But it's very easy to take a theme and turn them into different ways of asking questions that still result in the same outcomes. Shared understanding, transparency, collaboration. What doesn't taste good is another one. What's not tasting good for us right now? Where's the beef? What should we be discussing? Where's the beef we've got right now? What left a bad taste in my mouth yesterday? What's consuming you? There are so many of these that you could turn into questions. In fact, what I'm going to do outside of this session is I'm going to turn this into a list of maybe 10 or 20 food-related questions that anyone can ask of their teams going forwards. So look how easy that was. We've leveraged the collective brains of hundreds of people to turn a meeting, a generic meeting that many of you have on a daily basis. Imagine the cost of that collective meeting. Assuming a 15 minutes times 300 people, it's math that I can't do off the top of my head. Now, given we've got time, let's try another one. I think, let's have a look. What was the second highest vote? It looked like it's a toss-up between retrospective and sprint review. We might even have time for all of them. So let's drag our attention to a retro quickly. What was second voted? Let me see. Second highest vote. Oh, did not mean to do that. Second highest vote was travel. Okay, so our next retrospective is going to be travel themed. So bring your attention to here on the boards. Chuck your thoughts down. How could we turn a retrospective, a meeting that's intent and purpose is for the team to adjust their ways of working, to give themselves a better chance for success, to inspect and adapt how they're doing? How could we turn a retrospective from a standard stop, start, continue into a travel themed one? So what we're going to do here now is I'm going to put the theme is travel. And if any of you are savvy with Miro, feel free to jump onto Google and find some travel themed imagery we can put on this board. And what I'd like you to do is start sharing your thoughts on these post-it notes as to what questions we could ask that are travel themed that might prompt a team to improve, to generate some insights as a team. We also need an icebreaker. I mentioned the power of icebreakers. What icebreaker that is travel themed could you have as a team? For anyone who isn't able to access the Miro board, feel free to share your thoughts in the chat and I'll try and get some of these on here. The moments when you cry. Where do we go from here? Yeah, what's on our flight path? What's our next destination? We've got some big images appearing. Yeah, let's resize these. Thank you. How do we get here? Where do we go in the winter? What's our next destination? Yeah, it's a great thing as a team to embody some future-spective thinking. What's our destination? And working backwards, how could we get there? What's your dream destination? Yeah, you could just say, as an icebreaker, share a picture of your dream destination. You could have a picture of mountains and a beach and get people to rate which one they prefer by dragging an icon across. Where have you been? You could share photos for as a team as to where you've been around the world and learn about others. So many you could do. What about some of the prompts we've got? What delayed us? Yeah, so where do we have challenges? Where did our flight, what got cancelled? What's stopping us from making progress? Great question. Any special trips? Okay, who should I travel with next time? Who should I pair up with, or how could I help someone else in the future? I've just spotted someone else. War, hello. Wartha. It's a little bit messy, but I can see lots of ideas coming out. How do we pivot? How do we what do we need to do to get to our destination? More images of camels and things appearing. Love it. And then, yeah, some powerful quotes. Success is a destination, not a journey. So what I would do is, after ideating, and by the way, I encourage doing this with your teams as well. You don't have to just build this in isolation. You could pick a theme or have them pick a theme like we've done today, and you could create a brand new experience with them that aligns to their needs and their perspectives. If you create something with them, they're more likely to be engaged as a consequence. So it's an experience that they bought into. And you can see from practice here, you create a new theme, a new retrospective with them, and then you can run that going forwards. And then you could try another one next time. So very quickly, we've turned a retro into a bit of an experience, and we've turned a daily sync into a bit of experience. Let's try one more. So a sprint review. Bringing your attention to here now. Here's a couple of examples. So we could have a Cluedo themed sprint review. We kill the product. How do we do it? And work backwards. So using some reverse brainstorming. You could say, hey, if we had a magic lamp, we've got 3 wishes. What will our product do? And then work with those stakeholders at a sprint review to try and achieve those wishes. And then lastly, what would an Amazon review say about our product if we imagined it 3 months in the future? Number of stars, some of the comments. Yes, that can be a bit of a pre-mortem, but there are techniques you can use to achieve the same outcome as a sprint review. A sprint review, obviously not necessarily just being a demonstration of what you've achieved, but a feedback loop with your stakeholders that help you build better products. So let me just check once more. What was our third top rated idea? And we've had food, we've had travel. Number 3 was music. So let's try and create a music themed sprint review. So bring your attention to here on the boards. Music. What questions could you ask at a sprint review to prompt a better creation of a product with your stakeholders? Chuck your thoughts down here. And again, I'm going to consolidate a few bigger options to the right-hand side. These are just questions you could be asking your stakeholders whilst playing music, because any excuse for music in meetings, I'm a fan of. Yeah, so we've got overplayed. Where have we focused too much of our time? Where do we need to refocus? The loudest issue, yeah. So the loudest is what's our priority? Loudest song. What should we be playing the loudest? What are we not listening to? Yeah, what feedback are we missing? What stakeholders are we not listening to? Again, there are so many options at your disposal to bring a musical theme to an otherwise generic meeting. Conscious of time, folks, it's time to reflect and recap on this session. So if I could leave you with any message, it would be to celebrate those microcultures, leverage the power and the passions and likes in it and dislikes of your team, and build experiences for them. I emphasized how build it with them and they will come. So to quote the Field of Dreams, build it together and they will come. People will be more likely to turn up to and be engaged in a meeting if it's something they've been party to, if they've created it with them. Continuously involve your meetings as well. So don't just let them become stale and repetitive. Build in feedback loops to all of your meetings. It's very simple to do to enable you to continuously improve them. So often I have observed that meetings become part of the furniture. They just get put in diaries and stay that way forever. Whereas you could simply build in a feedback loop, a question at the end of each meeting saying, hey, how could this have added more value? Or how could this have been a better use of your time? Or what should we be doing more of? What should we be doing less of? Or indeed, you could say, rate this meeting on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 was the worst use of my time and 5 the best use of my time. And last of all, if you create anything new, like we've done today, share it with the world. Let people benefit from your creations. Help me to turn meetings into experiences for others. Now, you will see I've created a feedback loop inside this very workshop itself. The World Cup is 5 days away. The way you can share your feedback is by placing these little white Post-it notes that are footballs inside the goal, right? Now, if I've scored a goal, by the way I've delivered this workshop, then the Post-it notes, the little ball should be inside the goal and away from the keeper to represent we've scored a goal today. If this has been a bad use of your time, or it could be better, place the Post-it notes outside of the goal or at the keeper to represent the fact that he's saved the ball, he's saved it. Share your feedback and add any comments like people are doing there today. Add any comments that let me improve this workshop itself. All feedback is welcome. I'm very thick-skinned and it will help me to improve the way I do this. And thank you for being patient with all the tech issues we've had at the beginning. Hopefully this has been something you could follow on and learn a bit from regardless. Whilst you're sharing your feedback, I'm going to have a quick check as to some of the comments in case there's any questions. So Suomi, I can see there, how could we turn more meetings into experiences? Quite simply, pick something that resonates with the audience and ideate, right? Try and turn it from just a generic work focused meeting to something that leverages their experiences, their passions, their likes. And the way I pitch it is I tend to not pitch it. I tend to just do it and ask for forgiveness later. I tend to lean on my natural charisma or lack thereof to get me by. Now, I can see there's lots of good feedback, so thank you for attending my session. Last thing I'll draw your attention to is a little bit about me. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I share lots of content, retros, templates, and otherwise on my LinkedIn, so connect with me there. I also have a YouTube channel. My website, you can find that here as well, where there is, as I said, 100 templates that you can download and access in Miro, Mural, and otherwise. I know Mural is a dirty word to say on a Miro conference. And I'm also releasing a book soon. So if you'd like to learn a bit more about me, you can follow any of those links. Andrew, every meeting should be an experience, unless it's something that's particularly sensitive in nature. Obviously, we don't want to try and turn a one-to-one HR meeting or something personal into an experience. We should be humane about how we approach that. If you have any more questions that haven't been answered as part of this session, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to try and respond as soon as I'm able to. And do try out any of these things you've learned today. I'm keen to hear how they've gone. I'm going to stop sharing. I'll answer any more questions. Why wouldn't you turn a performance management meeting into an experience? I think because by trying to turn it into an experience, you might be making light of a serious issue. All hands meeting. Now, any tips for all hands meeting? Just try it. Bring it a go. Give it a go. Sorry, I've done snow day themed ones. I've done like island themed ones. You can start with a very basic one. There's a great Miroverse template. I think it's the house. It's like an Amsterdam house or a Dutch house, something like that. That's quite a simplistic one to repurpose for a town hall, because you add each of the sections, shall we say, of a town hall, i.e. some important updates, and you can add each of those into the house. And then at the end, there's kind of a workshop room which you can use to gauge feedback. What if the group is less than 10 people? Well, that's a perfect excuse to do a meeting or turn a meeting into experience, because then it's situational and very focused on them and their microculture, i.e. Diwali theme retrospective, i.e. Game of Thrones fans, or House of the Dragon. I saw someone mention the House of the Dragon one. That was a recent creation. If everyone's watching that show, why not create something that links to them? I think we're about to get kicked out. So thank you again, folks. It's been a pleasure. All the best. Have fun with creating experiences.